They warned him not to go near the old military cemetery. They said once you're in there's no way out. But Jack didn't believe in ghost stories. Until he became one.
Have you ever heard of Cemetery 51? Not Area 51, the famous one with UFOs. I'm talking about a place even more secret. A place erased from maps, whispered about on long-forgotten Reddit threads, and buried deep in government denial. This story begins with a man named Jack Holloway, a paranormal investigator, and perhaps the latest victim of a place that no one escapes from. It was past midnight when I found it, not a location on any GPS, not a rumor, but a real place hidden beyond the desert wind and the silence of forgotten roads. Cemetery 51. The iron gate stood crooked, rusted, as if it had been holding something in for decades. The sign was half erased by time, but the warning still screamed in silence, "Do not enter. Government property." Behind it, there were no flowers, no memories, just shadows, and yet, something drew me in, like the place had waited for me. The moment I stepped past the gate, the air changed, colder. Not the type that brushes your skin, but the kind that creeps under it, makes your bones ache. My flashlight barely worked. Every time I moved it, it flickered, like it was afraid of what it might reveal. The graves were unmarked, or worse, names scratched out violently. No birds, no insects, no sound, only the crunch of my own footsteps. Until I noticed I wasn't leaving any behind. Then came the whispers, soft at first, barely louder than your thoughts, but they weren't mine. Voices from every direction, echoes with no source. Some were crying, some laughing, some whispering names I didn't recognize. One voice stood out. It called mine. Jack Holloway. You're late. That's when I realized. The fog wasn't natural. It was listening. I turned back, the trail behind me, gone. Where there should have been prints, there was untouched dirt. The gate I entered through, not even there anymore. I wasn't trapped by walls or fences. I was trapped by something else, something ancient, intelligent. It wasn't keeping me out, it was keeping me in. That's when I saw him, tall, still, standing among the crooked headstones like he'd been there forever. An old guard uniform, U.S. military, faded and torn. He held a lantern, but the flame wasn't red or orange. It was blue, and his eyes no whites, just pale light, like headlights seen through thick fog. He didn't blink, he didn't speak. He simply raised his hand and I hadn't noticed before. The earth was freshly turned, still moist, a single headstone, brand new, and carved into it was my name, Jack Holloway. Beneath it, once you're in, there's no way out. I laughed, nervously, but no one laughed back. Then the ground began to move. The soil breathed hand from beneath it. Something reached out. A pale hand, decaying, fingernails cracked and black. It grabbed my ankle and pulled. I struggled, kicked, screamed, tried to hold on. But the ground was like liquid mud. My hands slipped on roots sharp and claw-like they wrapped around me. I was being pulled deeper, darker, and then I fell. Fell into a space with no gravity. Not completely dark, but lit by spirits. They floated, facing the walls. None of them had eyes. I landed in a vault. No doors. The ceiling hung with rusted hook-soled, rotted military uniforms dangled from them. No bodies inside. In the corner, a pile of human bones stacked neatly, almost like someone curated them. A large, dried blood-stained sign read, "They never leave. They become part of this place." Then I heard footsteps, not fast, but steady. Military boots, coming closer. The only way forward was a narrow hallway. I ran, stumbled. At the end, a lake, still surface, deep red. No rocks, no moss, just blood. I saw my reflection on the surface, but it wasn't me. The version in the water smiled, wickedly. Then from the center of the lake, someone emerged. Not the gatekeeper, it was me, but his eyes were hollow. The other me stepped forward, holding a lantern the same kind the gatekeeper carried. Each of his steps cracked the ground, and hands from below reached out like hell was dragging him back. But he didn't flinch. He said, "This is punishment. You stepped into a place not meant for you." I asked, "What is this place?" He replied, "It's home to those who know too much, and now, you are one of them." I ran from him and stumbled into a rusted steel door. I burst through. A control room, dust covered. Old maps on the wall, covered in red scribbles, project, soul cleansing. The monitors were dark except one. It blinked a line of text. Missing, 8,346. Returned, 0. Then static, a robotic voice echoed through the room. New subject detected. Logging, Jack Holloway. I tore through the remaining files. Classified reports, audio logs, brain scans, all tied to non-physical anomalies, spirits, reincarnation, mind control. One researcher, Dr. Ellis, had handwritten notes. "We didn't build this cemetery. It manifested itself here in 1947. I didn't want to believe it, but it all made sense. They weren't imprisoning the dead, they were feeding them." The door behind me creaked open. The old gatekeeper stood there, lantern glowing faintly. He handed me a uniform, just like his. No words, just a stare. I understood he had guarded this place too long. Now, it was my turn. I slipped the uniform on, the lantern flared, and suddenly, I saw them all, every trap soul, and I knew. I had to guard them, guard myself. I stand at the gate now. The cold wind sweeps past shattered tombstones, and I hear a car approaching, footsteps, young voices, flashlights, laughter, another group filmmakers, thrill seekers, clueless. I raise my hand to warn them, but no one hears. The gate opens a guy. Everyone who enters thinks they're different. Everyone thinks they can escape. No one does. Cemetery 51 doesn't bind you with chains. It binds you with memory, with guilt, with yourself. And I'm part of it now. If you're hearing this, don't step through the gate. Because once you're in, they searched for Jack for days, but all they found was a rusted lantern, and the sound of footsteps coming from beneath the sand. And late at night, when the desert wind howls just right, you can still hear the gatekeeper whispering to the next soul, who dares to enter Cemetery 51.